cat who has to go scavenge gold balloons out of a flooded city to feed his family. Ignore the man in the background, he's talking about something unrelated. He's talking about the plot of Future Boy Cone. It's not that unrelated, it's pretty similar actually. And yeah, so here we are, it spawns you right in the middle of the flooded city. It's in media res. And yeah, so you boat around. A lot of your time spent, basically half your time spent boating around like this. You can move on these two axes and swim around on the surface of the water with your boat. And then there's all these coins that are generally out of the water, for now at least. And to get to them, you gotta jump out of your boat and walk to them. But you're a 2D platformer, you're a 2D guy platforming, so you can only move along the plane that your boat is on. So you've got to line up your walking in order to get the money. You might have noticed that the city that we're in is pretty chaotic, and also some of it is maybe reminiscent. This statue here, especially, probably gives it away. But this is the Isle Delfino. This is the city, Delfino Plaza. It's also a stage in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and now it's the background of my video game. This is set 1 million years after the events of Mario Sunshine. The city grew and grew, and eventually it sank into the sea. The sea rose, the city sank, a little bit of both. And anyway, now there's new life forms and new societies hanging out, and plundering the wealth of the civilizations that came before them. And yeah, you can, so it's not just this little cat, you can encounter some other characters. Let's see what this guy has to say. There you go. So there's a lot of characters around the map you can encounter. Some of them are easy to get to, like that guy. Some of them are a little harder. There's one up there. Let's see. Okay, so there's a shop where you can buy abilities. I'm gonna buy a double jump. I've only got 2 coins. I'll probably just get 2 jumps. But yes, you can call upon the shop seaplane at any time. It flies in and flies out. Just reverse the sound for it flying out, which is pretty fun. So now I can more adequately parkour my way around the city. And hopefully get to see what this guy has to say. I missed my shot a little bit. Someone told me that this game is kind of like golf. Oh, that meow means he said his speech, but I didn't get to see it. Maybe if I zoomed out the camera, but instead I'm gonna have to re-angle my boat a little bit. So yeah, someone told me that this game is like golf, and that I'll angle it again to not get this wall in the way. It's kind of like golf. You have to line up your shots sort of far away, figure out how to get them on the plane, or at least near enough. On the plane, roughly, for the coins. Near enough for the NPCs. This guy's getting a little cut off. In the old days, they used to fast travel by pipe. Might be useful, I'm not too sure. Most of the manual pages they were dredged up at the university are pretty long. Still, it's a tantalizing thought, isn't it? And it's important to appreciate the journey of my feet ache. Just thinking of the walk, the trek back home. Imagine, one puff of smoke and I'd be back. Says, cool old cat, maybe misinterpreting history a little bit, don't we all? Anyway, yeah, that's basically the game loop of this game. You boat around, you try to get some coins, you can spend the coins on upgrades that can let you get more coins, or give you more time, so there's a time limit for the whole game. You've got about 20 minutes in order to get as many coins as you want and get out before the jellyfish awakes. Some of the NPCs will have a little bit of info about what the jellyfish is, but it's a very large world map, so you're very unlikely to encounter everything on your first go, or even ever. It's really large, and that's part of what using the Mario Sunshine assets afford me. I didn't really have to design this level. I just drag and dropped a million Mario worlds, and just drag and drop a million Marios, and you end up with this world that's arbitrary. It's almost like it was procedurally generated, but it was just generated by my casual hand placing things around. It's sort of inspired by this game ZK Map, for short. The real title's longer and more confusing. But generally this idea that arbitrariness is almost as good as, if not better than randomness, because it's consistent, but it's arbitrary. So you can't do things like make assumptions based on the developer's intent, based on the map. You have to treat it like a real space that simply is. You're not worried about why it is, or how, you know. You're just experiencing it the way you would the wilderness in real life, you know. Even in real life, we mostly encounter designed situations if we live in cities or even in, like, farms. You know, it's very rare to find something that hasn't been, to some degree, designed by humans these days. So that's something I've been trying to replicate a little bit in my games. Try and design some undesigned places. This is an important figure. There's statues all over. There's often treasure. Maybe there was an ancient deity or local hero, but whatever power he had has gone under the rest of it. Very astute, cat. Oh, I almost fell into the sea. You know what? This isn't the worst place to show you what happens when you fall in the sea. So, you fall in the sea, you drown. And in order to get back to life, you need to rebuild your boat. I don't mind if the boat is actually still up there and just fine, but... well, actually what it says is you need 3 boat pieces to be reborn. It doesn't really mention the boat. But yeah, you just collect 3 of these wooden chunks that spawn in line with the boat, and you can be reborn. Are there any around that I missed? This can be a bit of a difficult task because of the arbitrariness of the terrain wherever you happen to die. Sometimes it can be very easy or very difficult to collect all those pieces. But thankfully, your movement is powerful enough. You've got, you know, you've seen me slam. Okay, I got one. Nice. So you've seen me slamming into walls and stuff. There's a bit of a wall jump you can do in this game. It's a little finicky, requires a little bit of finesse, but it lets you milk each of your double jumps for more value, which means you can save time and save money to eventually bring back to your family, which is ostensibly your goal, although it's not really the ending. There are 4 endings. It's not really the ending I expect most people to get the first try. And I'm not going to do it in this video because I'm just going to show... I want to show off as much of the game as possible, and so I want to show off the jellyfish. It's one of my favorite parts of the game. That ominous counter is going to tick down and down. Let me buy some more stuff. Let's buy some boat speed, some horizontal speed, and a camera zoom out. And another jump or quabble jump, I guess. So yeah. Part of why this game is the way that it is because it was made for Sylvie Jam #1, which had a bunch of very specific rules about what kinds of games you could make. You have to follow all the rules. So a lot of things in this game are arbitrary in a different way in that they weren't decided by me, they were decided by the rules of this jam, and I was sort of deciding how I wanted to interpret those rules and how I would fill in the gaps between them and make it into a whole game. And I think I did a good job of managing to make it not just a game, but a game that I'm actually really proud of, that has a lot of design ideas that I've been thinking about all year, kind of crammed into it. See, this slope is a little too inclined to probably wall jump. Let's see if we can get this going. I like this game a lot aesthetically and allegorically. I think I got some good, interesting allegories. I don't know, they're not too subtle. The cats that you meet tend to spell out most of my thoughts about the game and about game design in general. But I also just really like the aesthetic. I like the way that all these sinking, pale buildings look, towering in the distance and going diagonal up against each other, different sizes. I also made all the music for the game. I didn't make it for the game, but I made it, and then I put it in the game and made it loop so that it could work. in a video game setting, although you don't actually hear it loop very often. The music is arranged in a pretty strange way. It's got a song for boating, and a song for jumping, and a song for the shop, and a song for drowning. And they all start again once you start those phases, so you actually only hear the full song in full loop. If you're in the one state for a long time. Which doesn't happen too often in the main game loop, but I don't know, it's sort of weird because it's a little counterintuitive to what the player would likely actually be doing, but I kind of want to reward sitting around and admiring the scenery. You know? Just appreciating the vibes. It's maybe a bit of the secret actual gameplay of this game. There's a lot of this, there's a lot of sort of repeating to get your coin, which is a little bit tedious, but I do think it's very satisfying when you pull it off first try, or you get a very distant one after several tries. Sometimes the coins sort of NPCs are way, way up in the air, or like way beached on the shore. This one here is a little far, but let's see. And I do think it is a skill that you can sort of get better at over time. I'm not showing it off super well, which is embarrassing because it's my own game, but I actually didn't get to play this game very much, so I'm happy to have a chance to play through it fully and experience a little bit more of my own game. And I think part of the benefit of designing a game like this with a lot of undesigned space is that even I don't know what's possible. I don't know the full possibility space of the game, and I don't know what's out there. I haven't been to everywhere in this game. I haven't tested the vast majority of things you can do, really. I made sure all the endings worked, that was about it. And obviously I made sure that the game generally works, but I haven't played it very much. I haven't gotten to soak it in myself. So it's cool. It's enjoyable. I got a good number of coins now. It's pretty cool, but let's see if we can't get some of the more impressive to reach coins. It's very much a game where you build your own goals. It's kind of one of those see that mountain over there, you can climb it type games. Except the mountains are all Delfino Plaza. But some of them are pretty tall Delfino Plazas. There's one other video of gameplay of this game that's one of my friends, and they tried to climb a tower that was so tall they ran out of time before they hit the top. Oh, I was off by a little bit. This coin might have to stay there. That's not so bad. Let's check out somewhere else. I think for the more narrative-minded, which I feel like I am, I feel like that's the part of this game that speaks to me the most, is I got to do a lot of fun world building with these cats and this society, and riffing on video game concepts and on Mario lore, quote-unquote, what little there might be. Most of it you have to sort of invent for yourself, which is neat. Yeah, I've been very into the concept of plundering lately, of plundercore and plunder ludix, which are terms that I hope people will start seeing around more. There's a lot of projects, me and other people involved in them, going on. And it basically just means an artful sort of stealing, using assets and characters and worlds that people know, and not necessarily making fan games, but making use of the nostalgia that people have associated with those objects and characters, and using that to your own ends and invoking. It's sort of a vaporwave kind of thing, and it's related to sampling in music. You can think of it as just sampling in video games. Yeah, I think it's really fascinating. I want more people to experiment with that, and it also is in fact beneficial to the game dev process. There's no way I could have made a map this large without using someone's assets and repeating them over and over. I mean, I could have made a city and then placed it everywhere, but you know what? Nobody would have cared, because nobody would recognize it. But this one is like, and it's not immediately recognizable because the textures didn't load in. So until you see this guy, or if you're really familiar with Mario Sunshine, you might get it right away. But it's sort of this weird ghost of a location, you know. It's twisted a bit. I think I started to think as I wrote the dialogue and made this game about history, I was thinking a lot about history. Now, history, the present kind of moves like a rising tide that hides the big infinite depths of history below it. And it's really hard to know anything other than your present time. You can't ever experience what it was like to live 100 years ago when Mario still walked the earth, you know? Like, I think this game is maybe how people will look at Mario games 100 years in the future and go, wow, this is how things used to be, huh? Fascinating. Let's see what this guy has to say. You can hear him talking up there, but I gotta get a better angle. Hey, bud. Pisses me off how much treasure remains undelved here. Whether you and I are practically standing on a gold mine, if only we could be more systematic about it. If only we could raise this place to the ground, we could sift the doubloons right out of the rubble. Just blast it. That's my motto. Yep. So not every cat is navel gazing. Some of them are just living their lives and espousing opinions that might or might not still have allegorical value. I don't really remember what that guy. You know, it's up to the gamer to determine that, form their own theories about what this is about, but I do feel like I managed to make it about some specific things, which is good, in my opinion. Which I'm happy with. Oh, and here's another little guy. What do you have to say? There are 26 of these guys in total. We're the crew of the Pianta 3. Better watch out, kid. This treasure is ours. We're waiting for the tides to go back down, and then we're gonna snag that whole statue. It'll be worth a fortune to the university back in Port Ely. Okay. I don't know how they're gonna manage that. This is a pretty big statue, but go off, I guess. Yeah, so I enjoyed the kind of world building you got to do with those little guys. Alright, I'm stuck. I gotta do a different angle. Where even? Oh, I did it. Nice. Perfect. But yeah, you know, kind of name-dropping locations that you can never get to. Multiple characters saying different things about other characters. A lot of the sort of present-day world is inspired by the anime Future Boy Conan. If you don't know, it's from the 70s. It's one of the first big cool things that Miyazaki, Hayao Miyazaki, worked on. Big fan. His stuff is obviously a big influence on me. And many others. Oh, this guy's almost underwater. So something that's happening in this game is, that's a silly one, is the water level, the tides are actually rising over the course of the game. They're sort of going up and down. It's a little hard to see. They're going up and down casually, but they're also generally rising over time. They're on a larger loop as well. That probably doesn't have time to complete fully in the 20 minutes that the game takes place over. So as you move around, the terrain around you changes, and some NPCs and coins might even end up underwater. And that can be interesting. I don't know. It kind of gives it a roguelike quality in that you can never really see everything. It's very hard to get back to places where you once were, and presumably every time through the game will be different. It's very hard to navigate and get back to familiar places because of, yeah, I can't even get that coin without dying because it's under the surface now. But yeah, it's sort of hard to know where you are when everything is a big copy of itself. I wanted it to kind of feel like a labyrinth, a little House of Leaves, Piranesi kind of vibe. But if you're clever about it, you can sort of figure out landmarks, because it is all unique. It's just hard to tell. It's all, but arrangement-wise, it never repeats anywhere explicitly. There are also many other hidden things that I likely won't come across just because there's few of them and the map is so big. But there's some other fun things hidden around too. Alright, we were almost out of time. I'm just gonna buy some speed so that I can mess around. show off the fact that there's no caps, really. There's no speed caps on any of the upgrades. There's no caps on any of the upgrades in this game. I want people to be able to kind of go as far as possible. Within basically the only limit on this game is the time limit, and the time limit just ran out. So you get a little change in your quest text there, and then all of a sudden your perspective shifts to a first-person one. And you're underwater and you're drifting around. And hopefully it slowly dawns on the player that they are in fact the jellyfish that they've been warned about. And now instead of any objectives or stats on the UI, you just get a bunch of text that says feed. And the feed text will glow redder and redder the closer you get to your little cat. And also there's the jellyfish sound buzzing from SpongeBob in the background. So, your only objective in this state of the game is to go find your cat, complete your run. So there is in fact a good ending of the game, which is if you escape the level, if you sail off into the distance, you can leave and you can take what coins you've got on you, bring them back to your family, and there are two other endings too that are a little more kind of weird to get to. But they're all sort of universal. They don't care about where you are on the map, I guess, other than the exit. Oh, and there's my cat. You notice he's kind of large. I just made him get bigger over time, so he's easier to catch as the jellyfish, because it's pretty hard to find him on the massive map. And yeah, so that completes what I would expect to be most people's experience with the game. And you get a nice end card with the end credits music. Unique little image that I photoshopped together from different things, Ghibli movies, video games, screenshots and stuff. The little ending text with a little moral. Each one of them has a little perhaps moral at the end. And they all relate to both the plot of the game and to thoughts about game design. And then you can just leave and keep the cycle and maybe find NPCs you didn't before or other secrets and try to get all 4 endings. Or you can try to get a high score. There's one of the good ending tracks or coins. I would say that that's the high score ending. Keep with other people. If other people there were to get a high score. I probably could have got a high score of like 10 if I left that run instead of buying stuff at the end. So you can beat that. Think about that. Alright, and that's about it. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the game.